All right, hi guys. So it's Miss Vera here. I am going to be teaching you guys kind of like the second round of two-way tables. So a couple things. We do not have school on Friday. All right, so first and foremost, no school on Friday. Another day that you're probably looking forward to are those Wednesdays, which are like the Flex Wednesdays. So again, there's not going to be any content. So no content Wednesday, no school Friday. So you have content yesterday, you have new content today, and then on Thursday, you're going to have another one of your graded exit tickets, or not exit tickets, rather. It's kind of like ish CFA vibe thing, wording. So please do make sure that you guys are doing that tomorrow. All right. We will be putting in zeros for those. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, we're talking about two-way tables. So two-way tables kind of have, well, two pieces of information, right? In this case, the piece of information is going to be whether your student is an underclassman or an upperclassman, and then if they're taking chemistry or if they're taking biology. All right. So there's kind of a lot going into this two-way table already. So we know that all of these different sections represent different things. So if I look at this 51, what that means is that 51 students are underclassmen and also are taking chemistry. All right. This 120 means that there's 120 students total who are being interviewed. 80 is going to be 80 underclassmen total, and kind of your job is to fill in the rest of this. So that's just kind of a quick review of what we did yesterday. So for example, if this was blank, LOL, sorry, and I asked you to tell me how many underclassmen are there who are taking biology, what you're going to do is you're going to take this 80, you're going to subtract that 51 from it, and you're going to get 29. A couple things you're going to need, piece of paper. It'd be a good idea to take some notes. Otherwise, you're really, really definitely going to need a calculator. So I'm low-key going to be using my phone as a calculator. Feel free to do the same. All right. So again, what I did was I subtracted this 51 that I knew from the 80 that I also know, and then I found that missing blank to be 29. So you guys are going to go ahead and kind of find the next ones as we go through here. Sometimes you're going to add. So the biggest confusion that I saw you guys had on your reflections was some of us were confused on when do we subtract versus when we add. So the first one we subtracted because we were finding something in the middle, right? So I knew the first number, I knew a number on the outside, so I'm going to subtract to find the number in the middle. In this case, however, I'm going to add because I know the two numbers on the inside. I know these joint counts. I know the number of students who are underclassmen in biology. I know the number of students who are upperclassmen in biology, which means if I want to find the total for biology, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add those two numbers together. So 29 plus 24, which is going to go ahead and give me 53. Well, that's kind of ugly. Right? Okay, let's move on. So we know now that we have our 29 underclassmen who are in biology, 24 upperclassmen who are in biology, so 53 total. I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but I want you to go ahead and find this new blank spot. All right, so hopefully to find this blank spot, what you did was you took this 120 and you subtracted this known, this 53 from it. So 120 minus 53. If you were to do that in your handy dandy calculator, we should have ended up with 67. Another way to check, which Miss B kind of told you guys yesterday, is if you add down 67 plus 53 just to make sure, we should have gone 120. All right, so we know that my 67 belongs there. Next one I want you to find is that blank. So take a minute, go ahead and find that blank. So hopefully you got 16. The way you would have gotten 16 is doing this 67 minus the 51. Okay, last chance. Go ahead and find that last missing blank there. All right, so we should have all of our blanks filled in now. That last one would have been 40. Okay, so what I need to know from you guys is how many upperclassmen were interviewed. I'm going to give you guys a chance to answer that. So when we look at upperclassmen, we would know that we're going to be looking in this column here. I wanted to know the total, and I kind of labeled it as total already. I didn't ask how many upperclassmen were in chemistry. I didn't ask how many were in biology. I asked for the total. So the total would have been this 40 down here. Now, though, I want you to tell me how many upperclassmen interviewed are taking chemistry. So again, multiple choice, try that out. Okay, so again, two-way tables is there's two pieces of information. Upperclassmen, we knew that we were looking here at this column, and then it gave us a little bit more information that it wanted chemistry. So I know I'm looking here in my upperclassmen column, and then I'm gonna go ahead and find here who also correlate to that chemistry one. So that should have been 16. Okay, so now for like the new content. The new content is legit so easy. All you're doing is taking these numbers and dividing. All right. So what we're practicing, what we're finding are called frequencies. We're going to have two different ones. We have the joint relative frequencies and we have the marginal relative frequencies. So what we're working with right now are just the joint frequencies. Essentially, when I say joint, all I'm talking about is this part here that's highlighted in yellow. So it's just those inside guys, okay? So you can see in order to find the joint relative frequency of the underclassmen who are taking chemistry, so I already have that math here for you. I took that 51 that you guys already had, and then I did it as a ratio, right? When we say ratio, what we're doing is we're dividing. So for all of these, every single time, you're going to divide by this number here, the total. So that 120 is the total number of people who were interviewed. Every single time you divide, you're going to be dividing by that number, right? So I'm going to take my 51, I'm divide by 120, plug that in my calculator, I got 4.25. We're going to be working more in percents for this one. So it's going to be 42.5%. So again, I have my 29 who are underclassmen who are taking biology, so that's where I'm looking now. I'm going to divide it by 120. You're like, oh, Miss Rare, why 120? You're like, yo, dude, because 120 are the total number of people who were interviewed. So I'm always dividing by that 120. All right. So 29 divided by 120, I don't think is as pretty. Again, make sure you have a calculator. So 29 divided by 120. If you have your iPhone like I do, it's 240. We'll round up and say 242. Which as a percent would be in fact 24.2%. Again, take that number, divide it by the total. So we should do 16 divided by 120. So on your calculators, 16 divided by 120 is in fact 0.133333. Three numbers over the decimal point here. And if I ask for it as a percent, again, I'm going to move that decimal 2 times, so 13.3%. Again, divide by 120. There's a very clear theme here. So 24 divided by 120 is kind of nicer. It's 0.2. Move your decimal twice, right? So I have, let's try this pen. My decimal point is here. I'm going to move it over 1, 2. Because I'm going to have this blank space, what I'm going to end up with is 0.0. It wants to give me it. 0.02. Because I took that decimal point and moved it 1, 2 times. All right. Again, that's all it really is for the joint relative frequency. So if we ask you guys to calculate the joint relative frequencies, all you're going to do is all those yellow guys, all those bad boys in the middle, just divide it by that total. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and move on. What we're going to talk about next are the marginal frequencies. Okay, so it's kind of like the same thing as the joint relative frequencies. So it's kind of like the same thing that we did before. Remember before, all we did was divide by this 120. I'm going to get rid of my face. It's the same exact math, all right? So again, I still have the same graph that we were working with before. The only thing that's different now is if I say marginal, you're working in the margins, right? If you think about like the margins on a piece of paper, it's just like the outsides, same thing, marginal, outsides. So now I'm dealing with these numbers here on the outside, and again, it's the ratio of the frequency divided by the total. My total is still exactly the same. My total is still 120. I'm going to take each one of these numbers, divide it by 120. So you should still have your calculator there and ready to go. You're going to do 80 divided by 120, which is going to give us 0.667. As a percentage, move it over twice, 66.7%. 40 divided by 120. 50. You guys could probably reduce it yourselves and just get like 1/3, which we know is going to be 0.333. Converted to a percent, 33.3%. So these ones are a little bit uglier, but not too bad. 67 divided by what number? You guessed it, 120. So 67 divided by 120 is going to be 0.558. Again, move that decimal over twice. 55.8%. Legit, the only new thing, divided by that number on the bottom right corner. You're going to have a decimal here. So 0.44, we'll say 2. And then again, move it over twice, 44.2%. All right, so again, like that's legit it content-wise. All you're going to do is you're going to take, if you're finding the joint relative frequencies, you're going to take your joint counts, which are those numbers in yellow, the numbers in the middle, divided by the total. To find the marginal relative frequencies, take those numbers on the outside, divided by the total. All right. So you guys are going to practice. Again, what you're going to practice is completing the two-way table. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to find the number that belongs in the highlighted region. Find the number that belongs in the highlighted region. Again, it's just really important that you guys know how to do this. And we should be done. All right, so this is what we should have found. So my two-way table is complete. We're ready to go. The situation I probably should have read before is 200 people born in the summer months were asked if they prefer to drive trucks or cars. So summer months, they're going to be June, July, and August. And either they're driving a truck or they're driving a car. What's nice is I know my total, right? What is my total? How many people were interviewed? All right, so hopefully you found that the total was, in fact, this 200 here. So I know I'm going to take all of these numbers and legit just divide by 200. So you're going to practice. I want you to find the joint relative frequency for this highlighted square. So hopefully what you guys did was you took that 28, divided it by 200, which should have given you 14%. All right, let's go again. I want you to find the joint relative frequency of the highlighted space. So again, you took that 38, you divided it by 200, should have ended up with 0.19, which ends up being 19%. This will be the last one that we practice. Go ahead and find that joint relative frequency for the highlighted part. So we should have done 27 divided by 200, which ends up giving us about 13.5%. Okay, so those are just your joint relative frequencies. Again, joint are the guys in the yellow. They're all on the inside there. We're going to move on to marginal relative frequencies. Again, the margins are the guys on the outsides. So I'm highlighted one region for you. I want you to find the marginal relative frequency. So what we should have done was we took that 85, divided it by 200. Again, the 200 is because that's the total, so that's the number down there in the bottom right. This should have given us about 42.5%. All right, going to give you another marginal one here. So we're looking at the month of July. Go ahead and find the marginal relative frequency. All right, so we should have divided that by 200, which in fact should have given us about 27. Let's go one more just for the fun of it. Go ahead and find the marginal relative frequency of this highlighted space. So again, we should have just taken that 68, divided it by 200. So what we have here is all of our relative frequencies, right? It's my joint and my marginal. I'm going to go ahead and highlight these, and then we're going to go ahead and post a multiple choice question. Are these my joint relative frequencies or my marginal relative frequencies? All right, so hopefully you guys decided that those were our joint, and then we're going to go ahead and just one more practice, making sure we know the terminology. We're going to go ahead and highlight these blue again, And your job is to tell me, are these the joint the joint relative frequencies or the marginal relative frequencies? And hopefully again there you notice it's on the outside, so those would be our marginal. Okay, so now it's time to kind of talk about what patterns do we see. So we're going to look in the month of June. It's going to be a free response question, and I just want you to tell me, what do you notice happens if we add the joint frequencies for June? So hopefully you notice that if we add 14% plus that 25%, we end up right here at 39%, which makes sense because if we think back to before when we were trying to fill in, when we were doing our review and we were like trying to get this 80, or I guess we found the 29. If we add 51 plus 29, we get 80. It doesn't change, right? When we're talking about the frequencies, we're just kind of changing the way that we're writing the number. So now we're writing the number, instead of just numbers, as percentages or as ratios. So if we add those two percentages, it makes sense that it adds up to 39, right? So if we add the joint frequencies, the guys in yellow here, we're going to end up with the marginal frequency. We're going to end up with that blue guy there. So I want you to think, what's going to happen if I add those up? What are they going to add up to? Without doing any math, without even touching your calculator, what are they going to add up to? Hopefully you guys know that it's going to add up to that guy there. So it adds up down the columns and it also adds across the rows, right? So that's a pattern that you guys saw yesterday with two-way tables. It's still true here. Let's kind of take it a little bit further. What do you notice happens if we add the marginal frequency? So if we add that column at the end there, what do you notice happens? Yeah, so again, you should have noticed that it adds up to 100%. 42.5% plus 57.5% is in fact 100%. So without doing any math, if I were to add that bottom row together, if I add 39, 27, and 34, it should in fact add up to 100%. So before I let you guys go, I want you to tell me why 100%? Why does that make sense there? So this is just going to be a free response. There's kind of like no wrong answers there. Why are we always going to get a 1, or why are we always getting 100% there? All right, I do want to talk about kind of like the expectations and the grading before we get too far. Again, in order to get a letter grade or in order to get a grade that's not an incomplete, there's two expectations. You need to complete 50% of all of the assignments. That's not just the Google Forms, it's these Edpuzzles, it's the Google Form, it's anything that we post to Google Classroom. You need to do at least half of them. Quite frankly, like I said earlier, you guys are going to get a grade for every week, and it'll probably be on like the Fridays. And those are going to be very hard if you have not done the work for the rest of the week. The grade that you guys get on those Friday assessments go into your grade book. They go into Synergy. They go into Student View. Your parents are going to see them. You guys can see them. All right. So like, yeah, you only have to do 50%, but also that last assessment is going to be pretty hard if you haven't done the ones before it. Keep in mind also, if you guys do not get it done, we're going to be putting in zeros there. All right. So we kind of know a little bit about this. The second one is you're going to have a cumulative assignment. We were talking before, it's probably going to be an assessment, mostly because, sorry, it's math. It's just kind of like what you do. Essentially, at the end of fourth quarter, so before the end of the school year, there's 3 different grades you can get. The first one is going to be an incomplete. You can get an incomplete in 3-ish ways. You can get an incomplete if you do not meet this expectation. You're going to get an incomplete if you do not meet this expectation. You are going to get an incomplete if you fail to meet both of these expectations. All right, so you did not satisfy one or both of the expectations from above. All right. So say you do the majority of assignments, say you do go ahead and get that last assessment finished, then you can get either the same grade that you got in Q3 or a better grade that you got in Q3. So if your third quarter grade ends up being better than the new one with all those new CFAs that I told you, so like if all the new CFAs since we started doing this distance learning brings your grade down, then you're going to be left with the same grade that you had in Q3. If those new CFAs help your grade, so say at the end of Q3 before spring break, you guys, I don't know, have like an 83, and then with all these new CFAs, you end up at a 91, then yes, you'll keep that better grade. All right, but these two will not happen unless you met both of these expectations. All right. I'll give you a chance to kind of give us any questions you have on the grading. Other than that, we're good. Good job today. Like honestly, we are super, super proud of you guys. We know that this is like a challenge. We know that it's not ideal. Please do know that we miss your faces, we miss the laughs, we miss everything. Reach out to us if you need any help. We're here for you guys completely. All right. Have a good day.